Today's episode is made possible through the continuing support of Dax Boden and dozens of other people just like you on Patreon. If you're interested in joining the massive online community of weirdos that get together and talk about all this stuff, check out the links below for access to the Discord, the Patreon, and all the tools that you see me use in the Amazon store. Thank you, guys.
Hi there, guys. Welcome back to the shop for Project Archi episode 23, where today we're going to do another Sprocket adventure. Only this time we have not quite the right screw, or not quite the right drill bit. We're supposed to have a 3.3 millimeter drill bit, and what I got is a 3.58, almost 3.6. Will it work? Probably. Am I 100% certain of this? Not really, but you have to do the best you can with what you have where you are. So this is the drill bit we have, and just for added adventure, my tap wrench is fucked right off. So this gives us a teachable moment. This gives us an opportunity, because while I don't have my tap wrench handy, what I do have is my drill, and we're not doing this in a drill press, we're not doing this in a lathe like fancy people. We're going to do this handheld, and I'm going to show you how to tap with this. So it's a little bit hairy. It's entirely possible that I'm going to break a tap before we're done. But taps are cheap, and it's fun to teach the ways that there's the state of the art. There's the way that you do it in the lab of your engineering classroom where everything is clean and perfect and right. And then there's the way you do it when you're a home gamer in your shop. And this is what we got. So we got a tap. It's a high-speed steel standard bottom tap, nothing special. It's M4 with a 0.7 thread pitch. We've got our sprocket. This is the 13-tooth sprocket. It's exactly the same as one we did before. And then we've got our grub screws, and these are M4 by 5 millimeter grub screws. They take a 2 millimeter driver, and that's it. That's what we got. So we're going to chuck this in the vise, and we're going to punch a couple holes in it. Now, I've got a set of fancy soft jaws set up for this, but we don't really need them, and they might actually be detrimental because I'm reefing down on that. I'm going to take soft jaws out because we don't need those. We're not going to damage the delicate surface of this gear. It's made out of steel, so. All right, that's in there. We're good to go. So, we're doing this entirely handheld. I'm going to use Enos's trick of filing a flat on there. That gives us a nice flat spot to work off of. And let's get a little Astroglide. So it's important to lubricate before you drill your hole. So we're going to put a little Astroglide on this and see if that works for us. And then we're just going to drill a nice straight hole right in there. Okay, we're going to add a little more lube in there. Brush our chips away. Just a touch. Now these are the crappiest Chinesium drill bits that I could get from Harbor Freight. So I'm taking my time, using lots of lube, and Making sure to stop and clean out my chips as I go. Yeah, we're through. Cool. All right, now we're going to tap that, and we're going to power rigid tap this. So power tapping means that you're not using a tap wrench, you're using a machine of some form. And rigid tapping means you're not using a floating tap holder. It's actually rigidly mounted in a chuck. And in this case, it's even worse than that because it's handheld. So I'm going to drop this down to first gear, low speed. We're going to add a lot of lube to this. And then really slowly, really gently, without a wrench, doing this actually in the drill. Now I'm going to back it. I'm going to clean off all my... I'm going to actually blow that right off with the air gun. Clean that off. And this is way slower than I'd normally do it with a tap wrench, but because of the way I'm having to do this, and we're through. We're tapped. We're good. Now I'm just going to test this with one of our grub screws. Make sure it goes in all right. I'm going to blow this out real good. Because after you tap the hole, you want to make sure it's clean. Okay, and then we're just going to run a grub screw right in here. See how it feels. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. All right, now let's just do that again. So we're going to take it out. We're going to rotate 90 degrees and put it right back in. And you don't have to be dead nut super exact 90 degrees. You just got to be, off to the side. That'll be fine. There we go. It's looking lovely. So now we're going to swap out, I'm going to clean that off. I got shmoo all over my tap. Okay. I'm going to swap our tap out for our drill. Get a little bit of a good manly lubricant up in here. Oh yeah, bigger the gob, the better the job. All right. Get that reasonably centered and mostly straight. Oh, we're going to want second gear. Okay, now we'll clean that off. We're almost through. And normally I would actually spin this faster, but I gotta go slow enough so as to not fling shit into my lens, because little tiny particles of steel in a camera lens is kind of bad. So we'll clean this off. Sometimes you can't get all the way through quickly. You gotta take your time and just a light pressure. It's not about forcing it in. You gotta ease into these things. So just stop. If anything doesn't feel right, if there's any discomfort, just stop. Add more lube. Nobody ever complained about having too much lube. And then come back at it nice and steady. And we're through. Oh, I got a little on my shirt. Look at that. Okay, we got that. All right, so we've chucked up our tap. Now we'll add a nice big gob of lube in here. Beautiful. Just in and out, a gentle kiss. Let's grab, we'll clean this off real quick and test it, but I think that one just tapped that easy. This stuff's better than Tap Magic. Okay, we're all cleaned out. Oh, look at that. Right on in. Smooth and easy. Beautiful. All right, I think we can mount it. All right, guys, so we've got our holes drilled and tapped. We're going to deburr a little bit on the inside just to make sure everything's nice and clean. That's just a rat tail file, nothing special. Then I'm going to wipe out the inside of that with a piece of paper towel. Because you don't want to have little filings or various bits of schmoo or whatever. So we're just going to wipe that out really good. Now, I have added a couple drops of 3-in-1 oil on this and just given it a rub down as a rust preventative, because Astroglide is water-based and we don't want this to rust out. But there we go. Alright, so you've got your motor. Now notice the keyway. See the keyway there? And we've got our sprocket. Now I've got the two holes are off 90 degrees and are empty at the moment, but not for long. Now we're going to line up that hole with the keyway and make sure that you've got the teeth of the sprocket pointing out away from the motor, and just scoot that down on there. Now we don't know exactly where we want this to land lengthwise, so what I'm doing is putting it out at the end of the keyway with just where the grub screw will drop into the end of the keyway, but way out at the end, because we'll probably want to scoot this closer in an adjustment phase, but we'll do that once we've got the chain on it and see how things line up. So we're just going to run that down in there and make sure it feels right. Yep, you can feel it scoot over a little bit as it seats. So that's in. Then we do the other one. Back till it clicks. I want to be really careful not to cross thread this. I think I got a little chunk of shmoo on there or something. But I want to be really careful not to cross thread it, which it'd still work, but it's just bad form. Now I'm going to run a tap in there because that doesn't feel right. I think I might have some cuts, a splinter or something on my thing. So I'm just going to run a tap by hand. Yeah, something ain't quite right. Yeah, it'll come out. Okay. Come on off of here. Let's diagnose this. It looks all right. Nothing looks cross-threaded or anything. Feels all right. And we just had like, all it takes is especially with threads this tiny, all it takes is the tiniest little bit of shmoo in there. So you can use a tap. It's called chasing threads. You just run the tap in, maybe with a little lube, maybe not, but just chase those threads, and if the tap goes in, the screw should go in. So the tap is happy, the tap's fine. Now let's try it with the grub screw. Yep, goes right on in. I just had a little chunk of shmoo on there. It happens, you get a little bit of crud. Shop's full of it. So, tighten that one down. Make sure we're in the groove. Yeah. Tight, tight, tight. Tighten this one down. Tight, tight, tight. And it's done. We made a thing. We made a part. We made a modular subassembly. So we've got our motor set up. The wires go off to the right. The tension screws come out the front. Plates on right side down. This has two drilled and tapped holes of what we made ourselves. And the sprocket part, the teeth are on the outside. So everything here is ready for the next step, in which we mount it. But that is enough progress for one day. And you have now seen how to break 20 different rules of what you're supposed to do when you drill and tap a hole. So don't do it the way you saw me do it, unless that's what you got. If you don't have a tap wrench, like, you can't tap a hole without a tap. Okay, you can, but it's gonna suck. And there are tricks to being able to do this in soft materials with like a grade 8 bolt. You can do it. But fundamentally, you're gonna have a tap. If you spend a couple grand on a robot, you're gonna have a tap. Buy a tap wrench, and then don't lose it. But you can, if you have to, do it with one of these. It can be done. It's not pleasant. It's not the right way, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So, thank you for hanging out today for a whole lot of somewhat sketchy, more state of the practice than state of the art shop skills. But this is how it works in the real world. It's how it works. It's how you're going to have to do it at some point. Thank you guys for hanging out today. You are awesome, and I am proud of you for building your own robot. I'm Chris Boden, and as always, we'll see you next time. That's fucking hilarious. I may be the first person in the world to actually use real Astroglide as a tapping lubricant. Kind of fucking proud of that. And that wasn't a prop either. That was actual Astroglide. I didn't pull any funny business. That really was Astroglide in the video. It's not like I filled a thing in Astroglide with like cutting lube or something. It's the real deal. But I'm going to clean it all off my Sprocket because I'm pretty sure Astroglide is water-based.
I'm going to watch one of your production videos. Wait a minute. I reckon
And we're going to put just a drop of oil on this, of actual 3-in-1 oil, just as a rust preventative. If I can get the...
ATF fluid as shock oil.
What?
When you're in the middle of the desert and you need to rebuild a shock,
And it's hydraulic fluid. I mean, it should work.
worked great. Finish the race.
Good job.
question is, did you need to throw out the shock after?
Now, when we got back, we tore it apart, cleaned it, replaced all the seals, and put proper fluid.
So at least it did destroy the shock.
That's a $2,500 shock.
The shock is probably still in use.
Yeah, it's still in use.
Not even a little bit surprised. We're all set. Now, all we got to do is mount this on our motor. So, the keyway on the motor here is up, and you'll see we have two mounting holes at 90 degrees. I'm going to put the hole lined up directly with the keyway, like that, so that the grub screw will drop into the keyway so that we've got a more positive mechanical engagement. Because we don't have a key in here and a broached gear anymore, or sprocket. But you know, if you've got the tools to be able to broach this, knock yourself out. I don't. I'm not that fancy. Hell, I don't even have a tap wrench. So we'll just put that down in there, and then we'll put the other one in on this side. And it's a lot easier to just hold on to the grub screw with the tool. Back until it engages, and then forward till it seats. I strongly recommend putting some blue Loctite on these, but I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to go back and do all the Loctiting of everything when I know it works and I've got everything exactly in the position that I want it. But for now, we'll just tighten that down. And you're done! Look at that! You got a sprocket on your thing! How cool is this? Progress. Did I put that fucking thing on upside down? Yes.